on that question, I think to representatives to yourself from representative from the Research Institute and yourself, Augustin, as a representative from Scale Up or SME, where are we heading to? Does it mean that in, say, 30 years time, we will reanalyze again because we'll have Dragon, I don't know, 2040? Or where are we head, or are we going to dig out this data that hasn't been analyzed and it was piled on a bookshelf and now it's time to kind of dig it out and kind of use it? Where are we heading to then?
Yes, some of that will be complicated by different library prep methods or sequencing depth. As it gets so much cheaper to sequence, you can sequence more. So like coverage that was acceptable before is like no longer going to be cut it in terms of depth, for instance.
Yeah, I think a lot of this will depend on how the genomics technology advances. And for example, if we move from bulk sequencing to single cell sequencing, obviously we need new data sets for this, but ideally, yes, we'd have all of these omics data integrated together alongside with an electronic health record. And through AI, we'd be able to make informed clinical decisions that hopefully have a justification that can be interpreted by a person. It's not just a black box system that no one understands why this is the outcome.
Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to translation, say in APIS assay, how long does it usually take, or is there such a process at all, like of translation, right? We know when we do some kind of R&D and then we want to translate into commercialization, process. So, or we created a new diagnostic tool. How long does it take? And also, say, for instance, from Research Institute, is there a scope for it, or we just do research to improve patients' life, but not to create, say, more private entities?
So I would say that the process of getting from a proof of concept biomarker into a product is something we've personally found challenging. It's that you've got the reproducibility conundrum a lot of the time, where you change the instrument, you change the technique, or you simply change technology and suddenly the same samples give you different data and they're not necessarily reproducible. In terms of length of time, probably around 4 years, especially considering that we work in a regulated industry with the IVD regulations. It's a very lengthy process to validate and do all this.
Any comments?
Yeah, I think from maybe a research perspective, especially as like an early career researcher, when you can be the most entrepreneurial, minded scientist in the world, but if you're kind of in the weeds of basic research, especially in biology, it can often seem difficult to think about the commercial application. And I think, like, for myself, kind of attending talks about incubators and thinking about kind of that idea of innovation into commercialization early on, it kind of gets your eye out and looking for things that might turn into something more commercial down the line, which is, I think, initially hard to find basically in basic biology research. But ultimately you kind of need that basic research to be the foundational tools for the translational work.
Marcella, and then as a representative of small SME, what are the challenges that small young companies, when they found these great R&D stuff that works, you commercialized, fantastic. What are the challenges and where academia could help? And maybe to Catherine then, what are the challenges in academia where industry could help?
So like any startup knows, cash flow is our main challenge. And especially in the area of genomics, where we have to have a very active R&D arm, cash flow without kind of serious investment does become an issue. I mean, it's fair to say that we wouldn't be here if we had not been preceded by academic research. So what we do is absolutely the direct result of what has preceded us. And one of the challenges that we face in this area is how we integrate all the new academic research in what we do, but in a safe and ethical way, because again, we are patient-facing, customer-facing. So that's kind of from the perspective of a commercial company.
Yeah, I think from an academic perspective, having expertise in industry and in entrepreneurship coming along early, I think would be helpful, or being able to start those dialogues so that, you know, there doesn't even need to be an idea to have those conversations and to have those contacts, and getting the right people in the right room would be really helpful, I think.
That's where NAS can help you with the imagining. No, that sounds good. Simon, anything for you where Marcella could help you with?
I mean, it's the same issue of funding, of cash flow is exactly a problem in research as well as in the small like SMEs. But yeah, I don't know. I've not really dealt with companies like in. I know we do within Cancer Research UK, like the Cancer Biomarker Centre that I'm part of, but I haven't really been directly involved in those discussions or anything.